Put on your mask.
Guys, are you all right?
All witches, all skeletons.
Your shirt goes hard, though.
I can't believe we're wearing two
Is yours a crop top, though?
It isn't. Should it be?
Yes.
Hey everyone, welcome to Straight Jacket Talk. My name is Kevin, and I'm joined by my co-host, Nathan. Nathan, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm good. I'm real good. And I'm so good that we have Jill joining us permanently as one of our co-hosts now, right?
Yeah. I just became a fixture. Thanks for having me forever.
That's right. You can't
There you
go
go.
anywhere now.
I'm not leaving. Yeah, that's it.
You're stuck with Straight Jacket Talk. But
I
thank
like it.
you for being here with us as we discuss Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Where is Michael Myers? What's up with that?
I'm
Not in this movie. What's up with that?
What's up with that?
he's a busy man. He had
Yeah.
things to do, people to kill.
You know.
Apparently, this movie was written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. It was produced by Deborah Hill and John Carpenter. The dream team from Halloween is in on this one.
John Carpenter's soundtrack, too, which...
Bangers.
Yes.
Yes, he was on the music with Alan Howarth.
Oh no.
I believe I have his last name right. I'm no good with names.
We figured that out over the course of this.
I'm no good with names. I'm no good with math.
No good with allergies.
Not good with allergies. But I'm good with
Suffering.
horror.
There you go.
What was cool about this one is that, you know, you had really John Carpenter and Deborah Hill back from Halloween 1. They also were involved in Halloween 2, and they came back for this one, Halloween 3, and this was supposed to be the start of an anthology series. They wanted to separate themselves from Michael Myers and move on. Pretty bold move, though, to move on from Michael Myers, no?
Yeah. I think it could have been a good move. But honestly, I think Halloween 2 fucked it up. I think that if they had just decided to start an anthology starting with Halloween 2, people might not have been so mad.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I think
Bear Claw just keeps getting more and more right over time about Halloween 2.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you haven't listened to the Mouths of Madness ever, Bear Claw, who is a member of the Mouths of Madness, keeps bringing up that Halloween 2 kind of ruined the lore of Halloween pretty much. And
He's not wrong. I disagree with him about the movie overall, but he's not wrong.
yeah, because it did set things down a way different path. Maybe ruined some of what made Halloween 1978 so awesome, I think. What was cool on this one is you had a kind of different story they wanted to go with the anthology, like we said. The script was originally written by Nigel Neal, who was a English sci-fi writer, and he penned this script that was, I guess, in reading, a little racist towards Irish people.
Oh man, he just dumped on them. They were the butt of his ridicule. For me, it was a British version of blatant racism. I shudder to think if he'd been raised in the American South, what he would have done with that way of thinking and attitude.
Irish Halloween masks.
California? You never know.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, it's been said that he was pissed that John Carpenter and Tommy Lee Wallace took his script and made it more violent, and he wanted his name removed from the credits because they changed his script. But what I had read was it was due to a lot of Irish racism he had put in the script. So
Oh, so they changed a whole bunch of it. Okay.
Yeah, and he was pissed, I guess. That's what
I
happened.
really want to know what was on there.
Yeah, now I really want to know as well. Like,
Gonna have to scour Reddit, maybe.
Was it like a lot of potato famine jokes or like?
I don't know.
I mean, at the time, wasn't that the time of the whole IRA and the war going on?
Yeah, it would have been.
Do you think Margaret Thatcher had girl power?
Yes, of course.
Do you think she effectively utilized girl power by funneling money to illegal paramilitary death squads in Northern Ireland?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, that makes it worse. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
So pretty much, I mean, this was a script heavily influenced by John Carpenter himself, which, you know, became the final product of Halloween, Season of the Witch. This movie had a budget of $4.6 million. Do you know how much it grossed at the box office? We're going to play a little game here.
Oh, God.
Nathan, what do you think?
I know that people were not happy that Michael Myers was not in this movie from the very beginning. And I'm pretty sure it flopped hard because of that. So I'm going to say like 2.8 million.
It's a pretty specific number. Jill, what do you think?
I'm going to go 3.8 million.
Well, you guys are both way off.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
It
When
grossed...
you told me pretty specific, I was like, did I get it bang on? Or...
Yeah, I thought you did too.
Well, most times people are like, 10 million. You're like,
I get you.
0.8. It grossed $14.4 million.
Oh, so it
we
made
suck.
money.
So it did make
Yeah.
some money, but
Yeah.
not some
Well,
money.
when you consider how much the theaters take and the amount of money for marketing, it's actually 3 times your budget actually isn't a huge amount of money.
Right.
So, some.
Some.
Now, currently on Rotten Tomatoes, this movie has a 50% critic score and a 29% audience score. But what did we think about this movie? Now, before we get into our review, if you guys could please hit the like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because when we have any new videos, you'll be the first to know. Isn't that right, Nathan?
Yes, it's a privilege.
He didn't rehearse that at all, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. Right into it. Now, I do want to start the review off by kind of a similarity thing here, because we had reviewed Jennifer's Body a few reviews ago, and there was an issue with that movie in the way it was marketed.
Right.
And we talked a lot about how that affected kind of the viewership of that movie. The same sort of thing happened with this movie, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. They did not market it particularly well in the sense of being honest with people and letting them know that
I
Michael
didn't know
Myers
this.
was not going to be in this movie. Correct. Yeah.
Oh, they didn't. Okay.
So what I saw in the marketing was a lot of this movie was the tagline, "The Halloween that no one comes home." And they did do like teasers and things like that, but there was nothing specifically that said, hey, Michael Myers isn't in this movie. Like, this is a completely different storyline. So
Okay.
when people went to see this, they were thinking like they're in the wrong movie. Like, what the hell is this? What am I watching? And I think it's because of that situation that it did have some of the negative backlash. Now, it did make money, but maybe that was a little bit on capitalizing on the Halloween name.
Well, if people went to the movie not knowing that Michael Myers wasn't in it, rather, it's like they made their money fraudulently almost in a way, right?
It's like instead of asking for permission, they asked for forgiveness
And they
just
didn't
like
get it.
slid it in there. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's what they did. 100%. 100%. I gotta say, for me growing up, I was one of those people that didn't want to watch this because I knew Michael Myers wasn't in it. You know, it was like blasphemy. How do you have a Halloween movie without Michael Myers? I was such a big Michael Myers fan. And I know me and Nathan have talked several times because we were like trying to remember, did we see this movie together growing up? And Nathan, you were like, you never showed me it.
Yeah, the only reason I saw any of the Halloween movies back in high school really was because you were such a huge fan of Halloween and of Michael Myers. And you were like, we're not watching Halloween 3. It doesn't have Michael Myers. Fuck that. We're not watching
Whoa. Oh, you are
So
throw him under the bus.
the end result is that I didn't see Halloween 3 for the first time until about a week or two ago.
Let me tell
Shame
you
on
something.
you, Kevin.
I know. Let me tell you, my opinion has changed. Like, I've opened my eyes up, and even when I first started like watching this movie, you know, I was still very guarded. Like I don't want to like this movie. Blah 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 blah. Like, you know, fuck them for doing something different. But you know, now years and years later, I actually appreciate this movie a lot more for what it was and what it was trying to do. But I think, Nathan, you're 100% right. I think if they had started this at number 2 versus number 3, it probably would have had a, you know, better results, and maybe they would have been able to have an anthology series going forward. But
Right.
you know, like Jill said, you're kind of asking, you know, for forgiveness. It's already too late. You've already alienated half your audience. So that's why they had to bring Michael Myers back in number 4. But
Right.
I want to know what your overall thoughts are on this. I want to go to Jill first because I want to save Nathan.
Oh yeah, he's the real wild card here for this one. You know, I watched this a long time ago as a teenager, so it was nice for me to like relive this experience after such a long time. Before I get into like how I feel about, you know, the lack of Michael Myers, I just want to say like one really positive thing is that I really enjoyed the Samhain / Halloween folklore that they tie in there. And I think it's really fitting for a franchise dubbed Halloween. And it reminded me of the Trick or Treat comic collection that has a story on the folklore of like the Halloween traditions, which is very similar. Did you end up reading that one, Kevin?
Yeah, 100%. And
I know
actually,
you have the book.
yeah, when I read it, I was thinking of specifically of the movie Halloween
Oh, really?
3. Yeah.
That's cool. So, you know, I would have loved to have seen more of that. But, you know, I think it's a shame how the franchise kind of played out with this installment unintentionally being sandwiched between the rest of the Michael Myers saga. You know, the Halloween series is synonymous with Michael Myers, and it's difficult for an audience to detach from that idea. I also have trouble accepting that myself, you know, but they're supposed to end Michael's story after Halloween 2 and then keep going, you know, with the anthology series. That didn't happen. I think if they went that route, it would have been really strong. I'm a big lover of anthology horror, especially. And I think that this certain story specifically really lends itself to an anthology format. My biggest gripe with this movie is that it's a bit long for the concept, and I feel like it would have been more effective as a short, especially with the cliffhanger ending, which really made me angry. I found it to be kind of lackluster. And if you're going to set up this concept in a horror movie of kids being brainwashed and horrifically killed with masks and stuff, I think you really have to deliver on that promise. And in the nicest way possible, I wanted to see more kids die, the way that little Buddy did in the other variations of the mask. Yeah. So, you know, that would have really sold it for me personally, but I was just let down by the what if ending. Like, show me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree
Nathan,
with a lot of that.
Fuck them kids, right?
Yeah, entirely.
I must go punch that baby.
I agree with a lot of what Jill said. Actually, it had crossed my mind, and I was going to say that this would have worked better if you had cut this script down to an hour long and made it like an episode of Tales from the Crypt. I totally agree with you on that.
Absolutely.
I went into this movie, like I said, I watched it for the first time 2 weeks ago. Really wanting to like it because I'm the one guy on the podcast who really doesn't care that much about Michael Myers. I just don't. I really love that first movie. I know. I love that first movie. It's a classic, one of the best horror movies ever made. But the character himself, as you go on, I don't care that much. But I came away from this movie finding it mostly dull. I work at a motel, and I spend less time in that motel than these people did in the motel in this fucking movie. It just feels like not a lot happens for the most part, and the characters are pretty underdeveloped, especially Ellie is totally underdeveloped. She basically, like, I could not imagine her existing outside the confines of this movie because we learn nothing about her at all. So that's I didn't hate it. There's a lot to love about this movie, but it's a long hour and 40 minutes.
I think a lot of the script was kind of convoluted, and the problem I have, right, is if you're going to make an anthology series, this might have not been the script to start with either. Like, there's
maybe
a lot
middle episode instead.
Yeah. Like, keep it more simple. I think simple works, and I think this was trying to do a whole bunch of things. And I think to your point about like being dull is it was like all over the place with stuff. There's androids, there's, you know, killing kids, there's Stonehenge, there's Tom Atkins drinking. Willy Wonka. You know, it just felt all over the place a little bit. And when you have that, when you don't have a main focus, you know, the audience itself is like, well, what am I caring about, you know?
I actually kind of love the chaos. I think that's like part of the charm for me. If you like boil this down and just like ignore all the flaws of everything, it is a fun, chaotic movie. Like, I really do love the concept that they have going on here. And like I said, this would have been so good as a short, like 40 minutes to an hour tops. I think it would have been great. And they could explore everything they need to explore, take out a lot of the detective work bullshit that we didn't need.
Was boring.
Would have been great.
Can I ask, why was a doctor like heading up this investigation? I like Dr. Chalice, but why did he have to go investigate all this stuff?
He doesn't really have motivation.
Why does Ellie go to Dr. Chalice when there are police involved?
She just trusted him. It's the mustache. He was a trusting soul.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. That mustache is red flag.
Oh, no.
Like, appearance. Sorry. No.
I like the mustache.
Oh.
Although I do have to say that if Dr. Chalice existed in real life, he would be a broke man because he'd have to settle so many sexual harassment lawsuits.
Yes. Yeah, he gives me creepy vibes.
The hospital would have him in HR every other day.
Yeah.
You know? That's why he had enough time to go on investigation. He's on
getting put on leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the sake of his kids that he never sees.
Linda, take it easy. I'll be back to take them trick-or-treating, I promise. I'll call... No, I can't remember the name of the hotel. I'll call you Monday. I gotta go.
Oh, again, fuck your kids, you know?
Well, his ex-wife and those kids didn't need to be in this movie.
Yeah. No.
They added nothing.
You know what? That's a perfect point. Dr. Chalice, right? He's supposed to be the main antagonist or protagonist, not the line's blurred really with Dr. Chalice.
He's not really a good guy.
That's what I mean.
Anti-hero.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they be trying to make us like him?
I think they're trying to make him cool.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
I guess.
look at this cool guy.
40 years of progress will change people's views about certain characters.
Yeah.
And
I guess you're right.
I think he probably was considered cool back in 1982, was it?
82, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Cool guy.
yeah, grabbing nurses' asses.
He was flirting with everybody.
Why did Ellie all of a sudden decide that she wanted to bang Dr. Chalice? Did anybody see that coming before it happened? I mean, other than the fact that, you know, Tom Atkins is in the movie, therefore the chicks are going to want to bang him because that's like what that actor, the treatment he gets in a movie. But like, I wasn't expecting it at the time it happened because they hadn't established any connection between the two at all. It was just all of a sudden they're in the motel room.
Where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice?
That's a dumb question, Miss Grimpage.
And her dad just died and stuff, isn't it? I don't know.
It's a gratuitous sex scene.
Yeah.
No nudity.
Yeah.
There was a little bit. We see Tom Atkins' ass.
Yeah. We did not see a nipple.
We did.
I thought we saw a nipple.
I did not see a full
nipple. We saw
nipple.
a right nipple.
There was a no nipple clause.
We saw a right nipple.
So they could shoot my breast, but they could not shoot my nipple.
We saw a right nipple.
I saw an areola.
Didn't he suck on her nipple?
He was sucking on her nipple,
it was, yeah, right.
Trust me, I would have known. There was nothing.
The worst part about that was, doesn't she say something to him like,
shouldn't we check that out or something like that when Mrs. Gutman is like dying?
Yeah, she goes, what was that?
Yeah.
And he goes,
like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
What's that?
Who cares?
What a cool guy.
There's something
the
about
coolest
her
thing though. Go ahead.
Oh, go on. No. I want to hear the coolest thing about Tom Atkins.
Okay. I will just say that you know, Tom Atkins as an old man, like, is actually pretty sexy. Tom Atkins in this movie, not sexy, doesn't do it for me. But when he throws his mask over that security camera and like one like little flickaroo there.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, that was a good athletic move there.
Yeah.
Also
the doctor
completely
had
unbelievable.
I was going to say, who knew the doctor had it in him, you know?
I don't know if Kevin Durant
out of the
done that.
chair.
Like, honestly.
Man.
Yeah. Can do anything.
Well, oh my God, that whole escape sequence was so full of convenience. The mask covers the camera so they can't see what Tom Atkins is doing. But, you know, the boss man's on the phone, so he can't just tell him right away that something went wrong with the camera, or just take it upon themselves as androids, be, you know, programmed to go down there and check out what's going on. And also that vent, that vent is, you know, that's just a normal thing to be there right there, you know.
Well, listen, they got Stonehenge there. I mean, everything else can be explained, right?
Yeah.
Wild.
Oh my gosh.
It was wild. And
well, that's what I want to know too, right? I have that question. Stonehenge, if you chip fragments of it, it takes you to another dimension? Is that what happens in the mask?
I thought people were just getting lasered in the head.
Same.
Yeah.
Are you saying that Stonehenge is a gateway?
Well, because there were fragments of Stonehenge in that chip, right? In the mask.
Was there?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
That's what they were doing. They were chipping pieces of Stonehenge in this in the chip, in the mask. I guess when it had the musical cue from the commercial or whatever, that's when it was going to fry their faces and brains and send all the bugs and snakes and shit out of their face.
Why did it need a circuit board in there? What was that about?
It's technological witchcraft.
Okay.
A lot of witchery here, Nathan.
But that's how Mrs. Gutman dies, because she's like picking at the chip and like the shards of the Stonehenge rock like set off the laser.
I don't know about you, but that scared the shit out of me when that first happened.
Jump scare.
Yeah. That was a good scene. We shouldn't focus entirely on everything wrong with this movie.
Yeah, no, the makeup and effects were really good.
Really
especially
good.
in that scene.
Yeah.
With her mouth.
Yeah. That was scary as hell.
Yeah.
And the opening was really, really good, I thought. I was really expecting this movie to be great for the first 10, 15 minutes or so of the movie, because it establishes this great mystery. Like, why are those guys after Ellie's dad? I don't know. And then the issue is once Ellie and Tom Atkins get together, everything goes downhill, like that car, that crushed the android.
I feel like the best part about this movie is the atmosphere, because I think it does have really good atmosphere. A lot of it, like 90% of it. The hotel scene or scenes, I think, are the points that it kind of lags and drags in. But, like you said, the opening has great, I think, atmosphere, great music, tension building. Again, that's perfect.
Right. And that first kill, and then the android goes out and self-immolates there. And it's like, what's going on? I have to know what's going on. This is so great so far.
Jill had brought up a great point about wanting to see more deaths with the kids. And I actually think that would have been cool, even just seeing more. Like, I wish Tom Atkins was able to get away from the town Santa Mira and head back to where he was and try to stop trick-or-treaters in person, like, take off your masks. And we would have seen more actual Halloween type of stuff, because there are those scenes where you see trick-or-treaters and they're like silhouetted with the sunset in the background. And that was great atmosphere. I wanted to see more of that.
Absolutely.
I agree.
The scenes, I think there's too many scenes where they're in like the industry and like the building and all that. And I think that takes away from some of that actual Halloween type of.
And Ellie wraps herself in a hotel blanket.
She's not too young for him, though.
That was hilarious. Sorry, go ahead, Jill.
Oh, sorry. I just had a question for you guys.
Okay.
Did you guys think it was maybe a little tame on the PG side, apart from the steamy hotel scene and some of the gore?
When you look at movies from that era, I don't think it's really much more tame than a lot of movies from that era. I mean, especially you look at the first Halloween, there really isn't that much crazy gore in that movie. There's more kills for sure. But there's
nudity, I think. There's more of that. Is there nudity in the first Halloween movie?
There is.
There is.
Yeah. So,
see anything you like?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And Judith is naked at the beginning when young Michael.
Oh, right. Yeah. I had a lot of problems with this movie, but for me, that it wasn't really one of them.
I think actually, though, maybe more gore would have helped a little bit and maybe made it more exciting in scenes, because I think some of the makeup effects, like you were saying, were really good with Mrs. Gutman, Buddy, when hit Buddy Jr. Like that, and that mask fucking disintegrates, and like, oh my God, like he's trying to take it off. Yeah.
The problem is
really good.
In order to have more gore, you have to have more stuff actually happen.
Dang.
Well, this gets into like, we should have seen more kids and like bad stuff happening to them with the masks and stuff,
I think that this kind of like transcends a couple of genres. Like, it's not just horror. There's a bit of fantasy in there. There's a bit of sci-fi in there. So I think all those elements kind of remind me of, like Goosebumps, or Are You Afraid of the Dark, or, things like that we watched in our childhood. So that's what really reminded me of that, is that like sci-fi fantasy element in there.
Yeah.
Would you have wanted more gore in this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I want to see the witch mask on like a little girl's face, disintegrating the same way it happened to Buddy Jr. or Little Buddy or whatever his name is. And I want to see the skull mask too. Like, I don't want to just see the pumpkin.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to see more.
You want to see? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, if you're gonna have 3 masks, you got to show all 3 doing that.
Right.
Listen,
I agree with that.
To me, how iconic are these 3 masks? Like, I think they fucking look awesome.
Yeah.
Don Post made these masks. I think that they're such just like a cool thing to look at aesthetically. And I know there's only 3, but they each look different.
Classic.
Yeah.
I was going to say, something. Like, I totally agree with you that the masks look really great. They're awesome masks. But it is a little absurd that every single kid in the country wants to go as one of 3 things for Halloween. That's not absurd in a bad way. I'm not complaining. I found it hilarious and great. Like the ballerina with the pumpkin on her head, skateboarding down the road was great.
I can see it happening because have you seen kids with Stanley Cups in like the past year or two?
I had no idea what Stanley Cups were. I had no idea what those were until all of a sudden it was a big news story that people were like knocking each other over for these Stanley Cups.
Yeah, kids need to fit in.
Yeah. Jill's 100% right. Do you think, though, that that's more an underlying theme of this movie, too, where it is like consumerism or, you know,
capitalism?
And this need to have and be a part of something more like the countdown, you know, the fucking song. Holy shit.
Oh my God.
4 days to Halloween.
Turn that down.
4 days to Halloween.
God.
Yeah.
Is it not like I mean, I know the original Halloween song is ingrained in people's heads, but this just gets in there, you know?
Yeah. They did a good job with that one.
Halloween.
Just stop it.
The London Bridge.
It's in there. Yeah. London Bridge is public domain, so they're allowed to do what they want with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is an underlying message in there about consumerism, capitalism. I don't know exactly what they're trying to say with it other than it'll kill us all eventually, but it's just
we're all sheep, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that deep the way they tried to convey that message, but it's there for sure. The way advertising seeps into our brains and manipulates us, it's in there.
Absolutely.
Jill, you had brought up a great point. Like, this movie has different kind of elements at play here, especially with different sci-fi and different horror elements. I was reading that a lot of the influence of this movie was Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, yeah. And that's why the ending is the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So you said you weren't a fan of the ending, right?
No.
Now,
either.
There was apparently they had shot a different version of the ending where you were able to, like, I believe it was you were able to hear kids screaming like he hadn't succeeded in shutting off all the commercials off the TV. Would you have preferred that, or did you like this better in that sense?
I don't know. I feel like that would also make me angry because then you have to show me. If you're just going to put like the screaming there, I need to see the masks.
Like,
you went this far. Yeah.
I agree.
So
that would have been
pissed
cool.
me off.
Yeah. You need the snakes and the bugs coming out of children in the street.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
How badass would that have been to just show a bunch of kids dying in your movie?
Yes.
I will say
cleansing, if you will.
This might be one of the darkest endings to any movie I've ever seen, though, at the end of the day. Even though they didn't show it, you know that at the end of this movie, all the children in the country die.
Third channel, it's still running. Stop it, please. For God's sake, please stop it. There's no more time. You've got to... Please, stop it. Stop it now. Turn it off.
And
except for Jehovah's Witness, kids.
Oh, my God.
That's true. That's true. Right. Never get candy from their houses on Halloween.
Maybe that's the message of the movie.
Don't celebrate Halloween.
Yeah.
I do kind of like the how it was pictured though at the end with him just yelling "stop it" over and over again. You know, because it's like that tension. It's almost kind of like not the same, but how the original Halloween ended with just that tension to leave you with. You know. Things are unresolved still. So I kind of appreciate that in the ending. I'm actually a fan of the ending. I like it.
I don't know. It wasn't really... The problem wasn't that it felt unresolved. It felt incomplete more than unresolved. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had just gotten done being annoyed by them making Ellie into a robot. and how that didn't make any damn sense. Because if she's a robot, she just let Tom Atkins destroy all those other robots and kill and then decides in the car, okay, this is where I'm going to stop you. So
I thought that was the wrong move. Like, I don't know.
Either have her die or save her. None of this robot stuff. I don't need that. Either one would have been fine by me, because I mean, I didn't care about Ellie at all. So
that's how you really feel.
Did you care about Dr. Chalice?
This movie doesn't have a good character. I'll be honest. Actually, you know what? Connell Cochran makes for a decent villain.
Yeah, so, I like him.
I like Connell Cochran as a
villain. He was a
villain.
creepy villain, man. I love how he has that kind of nice, eerie, villainous face. You know, he's he can
Bizarro
smile
World's Willy Wonka, like I said.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was another thing I wanted to bring up. Like, one of my favorite scenes was the factory tour, because it was very Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
And I love that they showed how the masks were being made. They really didn't have to add that bit to the movie, and they did. And I think it really added to like the whimsy atmosphere for me. I don't know. I really like that bit.
Yeah, that was definitely, I agree with that. That was a good bit.
What's in the final processing?
Stonehenge.
Yeah. The final inspection involves volatile chemicals. We don't want to bring you to a dangerous place. And I'm sitting there thinking, how can an inspection involve volatile chemicals? Wouldn't that be in the manufacturing? But you've shown him that already.
Not a smooth liar.
Not exactly.
No. Did Colonel Cochran, did he ever say why specifically he wanted to kill kids? He just wanted to bring
it goes back to like the Samhain tradition of like, not all of the like folklore of this agrees with this, because I didn't know about this, so I had to look it up.
Right.
But some tales talk about sacrificing a bunch of children to Satan. So I don't know how pagan that is, or if that's like the Christian side of it.
It seems like it might be propaganda.
Yeah, he wanted to do another ritual because it's been like ages since they did it, and I don't remember what the point was, but that was the gist of it.
When Dr. Atkins, he was talking to Dr. Chalice. He was talking to Dr. Chalice, and he was like, you want to know why? Because it's a great joke, and a joke on the children. And I was like, oh, if you leave it at that, that would be, oh no, you're still talking.
I do love a good joke, and this is the best ever. A joke on the children. But there's a better reason.
Because I would have preferred him
monologuing.
I would have preferred him to just be like, it's a practical joke. I'm a practical jokester. And it's like
a dumb reason.
Okay, the reason is because he's evil, and that's fine by me. But then he went into some stuff with the Samhain stuff you were just
if there was more
about.
of that, it would have made sense, but there wasn't.
Yeah, so, he just kind of presented it as a monologue and then expected you to just go with it. And I would have just gone with the practical joke part instead myself.
Same.
Yeah, you're right. Because things are always scarier too when like everything's not explained. Like, I don't know, we talk about a lot. You know, because like they do that with Stonehenge. He has the line, you know, when they ask him how they got it there, he was like, don't ask me how we got it here.
Stonehenge. We had a time getting it here. You wouldn't believe how we did it.
It was just one line and that's it. Like,
don't ask me how I did it. I just did it. It was hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I like that. Don't get into too detailed on it, because then it becomes even more and more convoluted, and then, you know, fuck.
Yeah. That's the thing. The simplicity of Michael Myers in that first movie is what makes Michael Myers scary. You have no idea why he's doing what he's doing. He's just doing it, and it's terrifying. Whereas there's a lot of exposition of stuff that I was just like, Okay.
You know what I want to ask you both, because we had touched on it a little bit earlier with maybe making this kind of a shorter, like a TV sort of episode. There's been a lot of talks lately of, Halloween doing a TV series, like a limited thing on, Peacock or something like that. Would you want to see a season of The Witch anthology series come, on streaming? Because there are a lot of Halloween fans that don't want to see Michael Myers. They actually want to see like a season of The Witch show.
Wouldn't that just be an anthology that you could put any name on at the end of the day?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it would have
wouldn't
the Halloween
you just piss off
property
Halloween
to it.
fans more by making an anthology series that doesn't involve Michael Myers?
Like
Everybody's just like,
itself.
yeah.
Maybe we're more accepting now.
I mean, I guess,
know.
but I just don't see any reason to put the Halloween name on it if you're gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Because you're trying to make money, Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I suppose.
This movie now has way more of a following than it ever did. I mean, it's become like a cult classic because now people understand that this wasn't Michael Myers are attached to it, and they are more accepting of, oh, this would have been cool, I think, again, a lot of it was that marketing because they did something similar with Halloween Ends, too, where they marketed that wrong as well, and that pissed off Halloween fans, too.
I know. I'm the only one who likes it.
I like it, too. I
liked it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a whole podcast. You'd think from looking at the internet that there is 0 people who like that movie. You got 3 right here. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. Jill, what do you think? Do you think Season of the Witch would make a good anthology series?
So, yeah, I'm kind of with Nathan here. Like, would it be the same concept of like witchcraft, like technological witchcraft, and that's like the theme of the anthology or something like that? Or is it just a Halloween based like trick or treat sort of deal?
Right.
Like Halloween based anthologies. Maybe we could get behind that, but there's so many already out there. Like, what would define it from everything else?
Right. How would you connect it specifically to Season of the Witch?
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just more another anthology series with random stories, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many ways I think you could go, but I think if you took the main properties of Season of the Witch, like the 3 masks, and had a similar type of concept, maybe just kind of a reimagining with kind of the ideas from Halloween 3, because there was a lot of talk too, like, oh, well, they could do, the sequel to Halloween 3 on a TV show.
Right. I mean, are we talking about an anthology or are we talking about a limited series with a story that directly connects to Halloween 3?
I was thinking you could do it where you start with Season of the Witch and let that play out and see how that goes. And then you do like another one.
That's a completely different story that makes it an anthology. Okay.
Like American Horror Story, where you have like a theme for the season, but still an anthology.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you test the waters with Season of the Witch because there is, some familiarity there. So you're not introducing a like brand new concept out there.
Right.
But it is a new concept because you're asking people to be invested in new stories every season.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
that could work.
I'm honestly questioning how much the Michael Myers one's even going to work at this point, but
yeah, I mean, I want to see a Michael Myers movie, admittedly. I don't care. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Give it to me. I want
I know. We're on opposite ends on that one, but
I did like how in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, they did have the Halloween 3 masks as kind of an Easter egg for fans.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a cool a cool thing.
See, I didn't notice that when I watched them because I hadn't seen Halloween 3.
Oh, yeah. Now you know.
Now I know. Yeah. Next
Now
time
you
I watch
know.
Halloween 2018 or Ends, not Kills, I will look out for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there is a lot of good things with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, but I think for me, my favorite thing besides the atmosphere is the music. And you had touched on it earlier.
So good.
Like, how would you describe the music? Because I think it's almost like Halloween, like 78 meets like sci-fi type of, I don't know.
I don't know. Anytime John Carpenter does a soundtrack, I just sort of describe it as John Carpenter. Honestly, because nobody else really sounds exactly like him. Like, there's a lot of analog synth-based soundtracks from back then. A lot of them sound very similar. But somehow John Carpenter does it in a way that other people haven't really emulated. Even like the Stranger Things song, the opening song is really trying to be John Carpenter, but it's like, it's just not quite there. As much as I like that song in that show, it feels like it's trying to emulate something and not quite getting there.
Jill, what do you think on the music?
Bangers.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Carpenter is just, a master at that. And he has a very distinctive style. You can't emulate it. One of the best things about this movie is definitely the music.
Yeah, I agree. This movie actually also had Halloween in it. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Oh, on the TV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Twice, I believe, actually.
Those weren't the only Halloween Easter eggs. Do you know the other ones? Dick Warlock, who played the Shape in Halloween 2, is one of the androids.
That is such
I'm a Halloween
good
nerd.
Name.
I love
Dick
it.
Warlock?
That is a great name.
Yeah.
Like, you could be Dick Smith and it's like, Dick. But you put Warlock at the end there, and all of a sudden you've got like the best name ever.
He was a famous stuntman, but he played Michael Myers, the Shape, in Halloween 2. So he's in this. Also, Jamie Lee Curtis's voice is in this.
Oh, is it?
Yes, she is a message that goes out in the town, like across the loudspeaker.
Oh, the curfew?
It's 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. Curfew. Curfew. All residents of Santa Mira, please clear the street.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? That's Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's her. And I believe she also has another voice cameo when Dr. Atkins is trying to call somewhere and it's like the operator.
Oh,
She's also
okay.
that operator too.
Okay. Curfew at 6 o'clock is a little ridiculous, is it not?
It is.
Dude, this
does that
town
get
was
enforced?
creepy, no? I mean,
Yeah, that is something I really liked about that. And I thought we were gonna, when we were going, they were going into the town and everybody's staring at them like, what the fuck? Somebody's here. I was like, oh man, where are we going with this? And then, well, the answer was nowhere. That didn't go much of anywhere at all.
Yeah.
And then other people from outside came in and I was like, these people should just be used to outsiders coming in. It seems to happen all the time. They've got a motel for that purpose.
for some reason, everyone converged on this little hotel, like out of the blue, you know?
Just all of a sudden it was a very busy motel. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess 3 guests isn't 3 rooms sold isn't actually the busiest, but
For this place, there was Marge Gutman was Tom Atkins' real life wife.
Oh, really?
Yep. So he's banging the young girl in the next room next to his real life wife.
who's getting lasered in the face.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Whew.
Nice.
Yeah. Who cares though?
Yeah. Who cares? Oh man, that makes it even worse. Actually, I never thought about that.
Wait a minute. This
cares?
factory too had their own medical facility?
No.
That's what they said.
He lied. She's dead. They took her out back and buried her.
Listen, Colonel Cochran told me I'm going to believe what he says.
Oh, yeah.
Just to go back to what you're saying about Santa Mira, I thought it was a really good, like, eerie atmosphere kind of setting. And the curfew I really liked because it kind of reminded me of Silent Hill, you know?
Yeah.
So it just brought me back there.
I wasn't complaining about the curfew. I was just like, oh, that's
Oh, no,
crazy.
No, it is crazy.
But it is, there's something about that that's like scary too.
Yeah.
Because everybody around is just like, oh yeah, 6 o'clock curfew. And in my brain, I'm going, no.
Yeah.
No.
You've got this like dystopia going on at the same time, which I really love.
That would be a cool theme, I think, if they had a TV series to explore more. You know, get more into
A
Santa Mira.
dystopian. Oh, okay. Yeah. That would be cool.
You could have an anthology TV series where all the stories, the different stories, take place in Santa Mira. Because it is a good setting.
Or like a Silver Shamrock, you know, type of series.
Yeah.
That would be cool where like Silver Shamrock is the tying thread to all these
Yeah, 'cause
stories.
they have a bunch of different like products and toys, right?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was
including the
rumors.
racist ones.
There was rumors for a while that they were going to make the Michael Myers mask a Silver Shamrock mask.
Oh.
And tie it in that way too. But
That-
they didn't go that route.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
It also kind of would have just reminded everybody that Michael Myers is definitely not in this movie, though. You know what I mean? Like, when we saw the first Halloween on the TV, I was like, oh, they're just rubbing it in everybody's face that this is not a story about Michael Myers, aren't they?
Yeah.
But,
Isn't that's always like a bad thing, like, right? If your movie is showing a better movie in it.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, that's not usually a good idea. But I do have just a few little things that I thought about while watching. Nothing of any real consequence, but don't you take off tags when you buy something?
Like you're saying, the
Generally?
Silver Shamrock mask.
If you had a Silver Shamrock thing, wouldn't you just take that off?
That's different, though.
Yeah, it was like a...
Like an emblem.
Yeah, I was going to say emblem.
But
or like logo.
So
or,
is that
you know.
supposed to be like a status symbol thing?
Yes.
Like this, okay, like putting Gibson on the headstock of a guitar. Okay.
Pretty much.
Fine.
That's what I thought.
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but they managed to put the title of the movie into the dialogue. Almost as good as Silence of the Lambs. You know.
When was this? Yeah.
The commercial when he's like, you can get one of the big Halloween 3 masks.
Yes, kids, you too can own one of the big Halloween 3.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's in the commercial.
Oh, that's rude as hell.
That's awesome.
That is brazen.
That's awesome. You know what's awesome, though, is you could have shown that exact same commercial on real TV.
Yeah, you could have, especially back then. Commercials for children's toys were terribly annoying. So it would have fit in perfectly.
I would have wanted these fucking masks.
Oh, yeah.
I guess there's only 3 of them.
Nathan, they're like, you got to get all 3, you know, like, you know, one of those masks would be incredibly hard to find. It'd probably be the witch mask or something. You know?
Yeah. You'd have to spend like $500 on it on eBay to get it because your shitty little kid wants one.
Okay, idea for our anthology series. McDonald's partners up with Silver Shamrock and they come out with McDonald's masks.
This was a
to
missed
go along with their
opportunity.
shake.
Yeah.
And then we can really hone in on like the consumerism.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah, that'll work.
Oh my God, I want it.
I'll start writing it right now.
What else do you have, Nathan? You have like a list of like grinding your gears. I love it.
So none of that's grinding my gears so much, but I mean, like the tag thing was kind of like a contrivance, but fine.
You would have ripped it off and ended up like Marge Gutman.
Yeah, what did she think she was doing with that? No.
I thought she was
I don't know. I've
She's
never seen a circuit
everyone's
board.
an investigator in this fucking movie.
Curiosity killed the cat, I suppose. But yeah, there's not much of consequence on my phone other than quarter kill and stuff like that. So
Go ahead.
okay.
Unless you don't. Yeah.
It was really dumb for Ellie to run at her dad's car.
Yeah. I don't know what she expected.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. The robot sneezing was stupid.
Bless you. Convincing, aren't they?
You know what? Hang on, I gotta cut you off there. And I heard another podcast talk about this. Why isn't he fucking selling these androids? Especially female ones like Ellie? Holy shit, he'd be pulling in the cash. No?
Yeah. I mean, if that's what
dark.
sex bots look in the future.
I'm
like in the
sorry,
future, I'm on
but there's more money in that than killing kids, right?
I thought, you could sell them to the government for like military things.
Yeah, military
but dang.
stuff. Prison
I just go
guards.
sex-wise.
Disgusting.
Christ. I thought the medical examiner lady was actually going to end up saving the day. But then
But she didn't.
Rest in
She
pieces.
got a drill, right?
Drill to the face. Yeah.
I liked her, actually.
Yeah, I did too.
She was also banging Dr. Chalice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Another reason not to like him, actually. He was betraying her with that
With
woman
Ellie?
who
Everyone.
Yeah, with Ellie. Who we don't
And
even
his
know what
wife.
she does for a living.
Oh, wait, that's his
That's his ex-wife.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't even know what Ellie does for a living. She's such a non-character that we don't know what she does for a living.
Maybe she was an android all along.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I liked her dad's store, though. I thought that was also a cool little,
Yeah, like
whimsical bit.
Yeah, you probably shop at the shopping mall, sort of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of ties back into our consumerism, capitalism thing there.
Yep.
Because the shopping mall would be like how we consider Walmart today versus the mom and pop shop. So.
And just because you mentioned Stranger Things, was it season 3 or 4 where the mall opened up in their town and
yeah, I think that was
all
3.
the stuff went down?
Yeah, that was
kind of like a similar thread there.
I liked that season a lot, actually.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
I know. Isn't it that kind of a dark horse season? Aren't there a lot of people? I don't know. I guess there's a lot of people.
Everyone died.
There's a lot of people who don't like anything after the first season, and I can't disagree more.
Yeah, you got to keep going.
Yeah, I can't wait for the new season to come out because I think every season's been gold.
I haven't watched Stranger Things.
Yeah, I know you don't like that show, right?
What?
You tried and you didn't like it.
I tried. I don't know.
What didn't you like about it? That seems like it's up your alley.
Well, he hates
It's
fun.
funny. I like fun things.
I don't get it. I don't get it. It seems like that's your thing, like something you would like.
I don't know. I'll have to give it another try because honestly, it was such a long time ago. I don't even remember what I saw, to be honest.
It's got a lot of horror in it. I wouldn't call it a horror show necessarily, but there's a lot of horror in it. And I mean, everything about that show is like catered to people our age.
Exactly.
You know, all the
80s babies.
Spielberg stuff
the
from the
nostalgia
80s
vibes.
and 90s.
Anything else on your list, Nathan?
We'd be here for hours. It's fine.
All right. Well, it's quote or kill time. I added our own theme music in there. See what I did?
Yeah.
My kill, I'm going to start out with because I love Dan on the Mouths of Madness said this on our episode 1 when we did our Halloween ranking.
Right.
Marge Gutman took the Bifrost rainbow to the face. I love that fucking kill because it scared me, like absolutely, and it was horrifying, and the makeup effect was really, really good.
It was really good. Yeah.
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 And those fucking bugs coming out of
Yeah. Was that like a termite or something? It was a really giant, just gross thing. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't like
I don't know
snakes.
what a termite looks like. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Snakes coming out, that terrifies me.
Yeah.
So not to derail us even more, but in theory, when Buddy Jr. dies in that room, his parents are still locked in there, right? And
I think yes, but I think
a
they
rattlesnake
died.
a rattlesnake comes out. Does the rattlesnake like eventually bite them and kill them?
I think the idea is that they died from the snake bites because at the end, all three of them are definitely dead.
Yeah.
You see the snake bite somebody, right?
Yeah, the snake definitely. You see him bite the dad, and but at the end, they're all lying on the ground. But only the kid had his head melted. So I have to imagine it was the snakes and the bugs that got to the parents.
I wonder if they picked the pumpkin one because it was like the most vibrant color to show. Because like Jill was saying, I would have liked to see the other ones melt faces.
Right.
And I wonder if they actually tested that at any point, or they just knew like, hey, we're gonna go with the pumpkin.
There's also some relatability to the image of a pumpkin rotting.
Oh,
like I think everybody has accidentally left a jack-o'-lantern out too long and had to deal with the aftermath. So
that's a good point.
Dude,
yeah,
that is
slimy.
it.
But
that
also,
is it.
A pumpkin is like, the icon for Halloween and also like the Halloween franchise. So it makes sense for them if they're going to pick one to pick that.
Yeah. But I agree with you that it would have been better to pick all three. Yeah. And maybe have
both are so right.
Maybe have different deaths for all three of them too.
Ooh.
You could have done
like
that,
other
something
shit
like that.
comes out.
Yeah, or just I don't know, have it something like with the skull, have it related to the skull, whatever happens. With the witch, have it related to the witch, whatever happens.
We got all these.
We got ideas.
We got all these good ideas.
We're writing TV shows, anthologies, limited series.
Who owns the rights? Miramax? Miramax, come to us.
Yeah.
Straight Jacket Talk. We're here for
Leave
you.
Mustafa caught off the.
My quote is the quote from Colonel Cochrane when he was talking about getting Stonehenge, and he said, "We had a time getting it here. You wouldn't believe how we did it. I just love that's it.
Yeah,
we're done.
Don't ask me how I did it. I just did it. It was hard. Yeah,
right. Fuck it.
Can't believe I just quoted that song twice in one show. But
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
Jill, what about you? Quote or kill?
I'm gonna go with kill. I didn't find this movie very quotable, but I will bring up one scene that I really liked, which was little Buddy on his bike, giving his mom the finger and just riding off. I was like, man, this kid's an asshole.
Yeah.
Is it busted? No. Don't you dare go in the street! Do you hear me?
So it's so much better when he dies.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was between Marge Gutman. Like you said, her death was just really shocking. I didn't expect it. And the way that it was done, her teeth and her gums and everything, really gross.
Yeah, that was great.
But also little Buddy, because there was that payoff from the middle finger moment. And, the way that he died was so gruesome. And then the disgusting bugs and worms and snakes and everything coming out of it. It just looks so good. And I just wanted more of that. So those were my favorite kills. What about you, Nathan?
So I've got a favorite kill, and then I'm not going to say it's a favorite quote, but something that I just thought was funny related to that kill. And that is when the bum says, "I don't got no diseases."
Oh my
God. I ain't got no diseases. You mind if I have a drink?
Can I have a swig off your drink? And I'm sitting there thinking, I wouldn't have thought you had diseases until you said that. Now I'm kind of sure you have diseases.
And he lets him do it. He's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a doctor.
And he's a doctor. He should know better. He should understand germ theory a little bit.
That was so unhinged. I loved it.
And then my favorite kill was the bum getting his head pulled off.
Head ripped off.
Yeah, because there's something so simple and visceral about it. Like, it's really simple, but it's also something that really can't be done by a normal human.
Yes.
And so I found that pretty terrifying. I thought that was a real bright spot in the movie that I didn't like that much.
It's funny because that head being ripped off, I really like how it was done. You know, it's just a simple, like you said, whoop,
yeah,
and it was off.
And doing it in the shadow, so like you don't have to make the prop realistic. I'm sure this had a small budget, right? What did you say?
4.6 million.
Yeah. So it was just a really smart way to do it. And it looked really good because they did it that way.
Now, keep in mind, they also had to spend about half that budget on Tom Atkins' beer for the movie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He always had a beer.
Yeah. Or a bottle in the case of when he was.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't got no diseases.
That's why you don't go, walking around dark alleys with a brown paper bag of booze. You're a target.
I don't know. That's one of my favorite pastimes.
Vagrants.
Only you, Nathan.
I do it all the time.
Only you. Well, it's time for our final rating. Now, we're going to rate this from 1 to 5 stars. 5 is Tom Atkins' mustache, although Jill doesn't really like it.
Yeah.
Gross.
1.
I like the mustache.
Yeah, I like the mustache, too.
Would you fuck him, though?
Yes.
We are different people.
One,
oh, man.
1 is Buddy being a little asshole. For me, I'm going to rate this 3.5. I like a lot of this movie. I do. A lot of it, I think, is actually pretty cool. The deaths, I think, were pretty cool, especially Marge Gutman, Buddy, not Billy. Buddy, I think I think it's classic, and it's scenes that, will stand the test of time. I think the music is amazing. I think most of the atmosphere is amazing. Tom Atkins is amazing, even though he might not be the hero we all necessarily need or want, but he's the hero we have. And I'm proud of him. Right. Oh my goodness. I think what this movie is for me now, like, it's come a long way because I really didn't like it to begin with. And I think now it is like at least a yearly watch for me around Halloween. I even like watching this like in the background when I'm doing stuff because I don't know, it's that movie. It has some comforting abilities. I don't know for me. But, there is a lot that's not good with this movie. I think it's convoluted at times. I think it can be boring at times. So that's why I think it's 3.5. It's a little bit better than good for me. So that's how I would rate it. Jill, what about you?
Yeah, I would also, I am not piggybacking off of you, by the way. No. I also will rate it 3.5 stars. Yeah, I mean, it does have its flaws in the plot and all of that, but I love the concept. I love the music, the makeup, and the effects. I would have preferred it as a short, like I said, but it's a fun watch. So, it's just fun, and 3.5 stars. That's all I got. What about you, Nathan?
Well, I've got this at 2.5 stars. I said most of what I had to say about it at the beginning of the show. I find it mostly dull. And the first time I watched it 2 weeks ago, I ended up pausing it and going off and doing other stuff because it just wasn't holding my attention. And then I came back and watched the rest of it. And then when I watched it today for the show, I had a hard time not doing that again, but I knew I couldn't do that because I had to review it. So it's full of plot conveniences and contrivances, which is stuff you see a lot and stuff I excuse a lot if the rest of it is compelling enough. The first 10, 15 minutes are great, and then it goes downhill, and it never brought me back. I don't hate it. I just think it's aggressively mediocre, I guess, would be the way
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, we did say it was a very polarizing movie.
Yeah. Although
earlier.
the reason for it being polarizing is a reason that I don't have for it doesn't matter to me that Michael Myers isn't in this movie, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I think one of my biggest questions is always, do you think this movie would have been better served not being called Halloween 3 and just called Season of the Witch or whatever? Fuck them kids. I don't know. I
think it would have been better served for a lot of people. Yeah, I do. Not me. That wouldn't change my opinion, but I don't think it would be as universally hated as it was at the time it came out if it wasn't called Halloween and people weren't expecting Michael Myers.
I also don't think like it would have picked up a cult status like it has because it's associated with the Halloween franchise.
You might be right about that.
I think it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Whoa. That is an opinion I haven't heard too much on, and I like that.
I could see some people deciding that they want to like it for sort of contrarian reasons, but then realizing that they actually do like it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying for sure.
Well, Jill makes a good point too. Like, would this movie have, like, if everything was the same, but it wasn't Halloween, would it have gotten like lumped in with a lot of the 80s stuff and been more forgotten about and not talked about?
Possible.
I think so.
Yeah.
But who knows?
That's a great cliffhanger to end this on.
Just like the movie.
Yeah.
Stop it! Now, before we leave, we're going to do our content consume. We're going to let you know what we've been watching, what we've been listening to, what we've been reading or gaming. For me, I just finished reading a graphic novel. Actually, I did 2 graphic novels back to back. I did The Crow by James O'Barr, and I did Before the Mask, The Return of Leslie Vernon, which was the sequel that never happened to Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. But I literally just read Before the Mask like a night or 2 ago, and I read it in one sitting. It was so freaking good. I loved it. It was really cool to see where the story goes with Leslie Vernon, if you're a fan of that movie. I'm a huge fan of that movie. And
Wait, am I wrong? I thought it was a prequel.
So it's cool. It's a prequel / sequel.
Oh, okay.
It's really cool how they do it. I don't want to give it away because
right.
Like,
okay.
It is unique, and that's what I like about this script, is because I think what I was afraid of with Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, that movie, is it's a very unique movie. So like, how do you do a sequel to that movie without losing kind of its uniqueness? But I'm telling you, this script that they came up with, that they did the graphic novel on, I think is really good for a sequel, and I would have liked to see it play out as a movie. I think it was unique in what they came up with in this kind of sequel prequel type of movie within a movie idea. I think they did it really well. So I generally wish this could have been made into a movie, but it's not going to be. But at least we have this graphic novel, and I do recommend trying to find it out there.
Which is a task and a half from what it seems.
Yeah. We had a Instagram fan reach out to us after our Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon episode, and he sent me the link. He was a good guy. He sent me the link, so I appreciate him. Jill, how about you? What do you have for content consumed?
Right now I'm reading a book. I just started it last night. It's called An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. And I had found her in a dark fairy tale anthology, and I really liked her writing, so I found more. And since it's Pride Month, it's basically if you know the tale Carmilla, the vampire like story.
I don't know
There's
this
also a
tale,
movie.
to be honest with you.
Okay. It was like a vampire story that came out before Dracula, actually.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's really well known, but this is a retelling of that. But it actually takes place in your guys' neck of the woods in Massachusetts because it's a dark academia.
Okay.
So it's like in this all-girls college, 2 hours away from Boston.
Okay.
And you have this inappropriate relationship between a professor and a student, and they're both women. And then you find out that the professor is actually a vampire, and then this other girl is in there. So there's like this thing going on between the three of them. It's really spicy. And she has beautiful prose. That's actually the thing I like about it the most, is that I like to annotate when I read. So I've underlined this like so much. You probably can't see it, but beautiful prose, very luxurious. I love it. So good. We'll be picking up more books from her. And then for things I've watched, I watched the Lady Gaga Chromatica Ball, which is a concert she did. I think it was in LA. I think so. Really good. I love Lady Gaga. Great artist, great performer. Loved it. And I also watched my best friend's Exorcism, which is based off of a book that I'm trying to read in the somewhat near future, but I decided to watch the movie first. It was okay. It's like 80s based. My best friend is possessed and we have to deal with it, sort of thing.
Right.
So it was fun. Wasn't amazing. It was pretty mediocre, but
Right.
But yeah, that's about all I've been up to. How about you, Nathan?
Well, last week I actually went to the theater, believe it or not, for the first time in God knows how long. Yeah, I went to see Furiosa, and it is freaking incredible. I highly recommend seeing that, and honestly, I highly recommend seeing it in the theater if you can. I'd sort of forgotten how much being in the theater can enhance an experience. And now it helps that because my work schedule is weird. I went at 4:00 on a Thursday. So there was like a dozen people in the whole damn theater, which was great because I got all the advantages of the theater, but there was no assholes. If you fill a theater full, there's going to be at least one asshole, which is why I don't like going to the theater.
That's the way to do it. The matinees. That's all I do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not going.
Yeah. But it is, it's badass. There's a lot less Anya Taylor-Joy in that movie than you might expect.
Yeah.
I was really, I could imagine some people coming away from it disappointed by that, but I didn't care because the whole thing was just so badass.
Awesome.
And St. Vincent came out with her new album about a month ago. So I've been listening to that pretty religiously. I have not listened to any music that is not that album in like a month. It is great. And she's coming to Boston in September, and I've seen her once before, and I'm really thinking I might want to go see her again.
Do it.
Yeah, she this album is it rocks a lot harder than a lot of her previous work. It's a lot heavier than a lot of her previous work.
She's usually pretty soft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fuzz pedal is on the board for this album.
Nice.
For sure.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's really good. I also watched Lost Highway by David Lynch because Jill mentioned something about Twin Peaks a couple episodes ago, and I was like, oh, that's right, I am a David Lynch fan, and there are David Lynch movies I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, wacky.
That was really good. I don't want to get too into it.
I haven't seen it, I don't think.
There's no way to talk about it without spoiling things. So I won't talk any more about it. But if you're a David Lynch fan and you like surrealism, That one's about as surreal and strange as it gets. Even for David Lynch, this one's out there.
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
I would highly recommend seeking it out. If you're a David Lynch fan and you haven't seen it, definitely want to see that one. It's up there with Mulholland Drive.
Another cliffhanger, Nathan.
Mm-hmm. Another movie with no resolution. But
oh man.
Yeah.
Well, that was our review on Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. We'll be back soon with another review, but until then, back to the padded room.
My mouse at the end, and I was like, oh God, please don't stop the recording.